Today's episode has been brought to you by Schedulicity.
Welcome to episode 95 of the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast. Today, I am so excited to share what I've been doing in my own business over the past few weeks in terms of planning. I'm excited to share this because I have learned so much over the years and I'm still learning. And mostly, I'm seeing how it really impacts my business, how I feel with the work I'm doing, how many yoga students I'm seeing, how many yoga teachers I'm working with, and overall, how much I'm getting paid for my investment of time and energy. Every year, I feel more aligned, like my vision is matching up with what I really love to do, along with my core values. And I want to be very clear because I already brought in finances to this. I think it's important to add in the financial piece of that. We're going to get into that a little bit today. Just notice if that's starting to bring up some discomfort now as I talk about it. This episode is for anyone who feels like they have 1,000,001 ideas and directions they would like to go in all at the same time. For anyone who jumps in and says yes to a class or a workshop or project and then worries or scrambles to fit it in on the actual calendar. It's for those of you who feel a lot of pressure to plan for a better year or a better month, or for some of you, this might happen at the end of the year as a new year approaches, or when you add up your income and your expenses and you look closely at things, or this can hit really hard if you have set goals or resolutions, or you slip backwards in your mind of where you want to be when you start to have resolutions or goals that are unmet, or you hit those patterns and you think, why am I still doing this? I want to be doing something different. Before I go any further, I just want to share that I have felt so many of those things. Yes, I get super excited about a new year, a new month, even a new week, or even a brand new day. I love the potential of this clear and open space, kind of like a blank page. And this excitement has made me try so many things over the years in terms of planning and goal setting. A lot of it, I have to tell you, didn't work for me. But there are some things that really worked, and there are some things that I see working over and over again with the yoga teachers that I work with. Those are the things that I want to share with you today. So today's episode is like a mini training. You may want to have a listen first and then set some time aside to sit down with a notebook, maybe a warm tea if you're like me, a cozy blanket because it's cold here in Canada, and carve out this time for yourself to do some of the CEO planning work. I've designed today's podcast so that you have some time to look at things with intention, mindfully. So this is unique from other CEO planning exercises. This is really specific to yoga teachers. Well, actually anyone could use this and benefit, but let's just say I've designed it knowing that yoga teachers already know the value in setting intentions, mindfulness, meditation, and some of the roots of yoga. And so I've weaved those into this. Before we dive right into the CEO planning part of this, I want to shout out to a couple of listeners who took the time to leave a review. Carlos said, "I highly recommend this podcast. It's a great resource for all yoga teachers, and it has become my favorite part of Mondays when the new episode drops. Keep it up, Shannon." Thank you, Carlos. I know you're a fellow prenatal yoga teacher and super passionate about what you do. Thank you so much for your feedback. It means a lot. Also, Allison, which is really cool because I just got off of an interview call with Allison. You're going to get to hear more from her. She's actually one of the co-founders of the North Dakota Yoga Conference, and Allison says, "I love this podcast. Shannon covers a wide variety of topics to help all professional yoga teachers expand their business. She shares tools for time management, productivity, running a yoga biz, and yoga for specific health issues. I look forward to listening every week and learning from Shannon and her amazing team of experts." Thank you so much, Allison. That means a lot. For those of you near or around North Dakota, I highly recommend checking out her yoga conference. You can attend as a student, you can apply to be a teacher, or you could see if you can hang out and be a vendor as well. We're on a roll here, and I really want to get into this topic. But before I do, let me first introduce myself if you're new here. My name is Shannon Crow. I'm a mother of 3, a yoga teacher, and a trainer and consultant working for yoga teachers. This podcast was created for you, so you can connect to information, inspiration, and ideas every single week and feel supported as you navigate the jungles of yoga entrepreneurship. This is going to be one of those episodes that is packed with information, but not to worry, you don't have to take too many notes if you're on the go. All of the links and the steps and the notes are at theconnectedyogateacher.com/95. Before we start the CEO plan time together today, let's hear our hot tip of the week from Scotty at Schedulicity.
Hi, Connected Yoga Teachers. This is Scotty with Schedulicity and the hot tip of the week. When you have your business plan in place, Schedulicity can help you measure your success. Our detailed reports allow you to see exactly where your revenue is coming from and what services, classes, and promotions are the most popular. Analyzing your results will keep you on track and help you see what needs to be changed along the way.
Thank you so much, Scotty. Just this week, I opened up a report where I could see a list of everyone who has booked a consultation call with me in 2018. It was this moment of gratitude and curiosity. I was wondering how some of you are doing who I haven't talked to for a while. I did this so that when I was sending out an email to this list of people, I was thinking of them and talking directly to them to make it more personal. Anyway, the reason why I want to tell this story is because I just want to say a huge thank you to Schedulicity. Your software enables me to easily remember who it is that I'm talking to in an email. So I'm curious, Connected Yoga Teachers, have you heard the term CEO before? It stands for Chief Executive Officer. Do you feel like the Chief Executive Officer in your yoga business right now? Let me ask this maybe in another way. Do you feel like the queen bee or the worker bee in your yoga business? We need both, but my guess is that you're spending a lot of time as the worker bee. In a large company, it might be easier to think of the CEO role, yet so often we don't translate that to our own small business. And I get it. I used to only feel like the worker bee. I never used to think of myself as the CEO of my yoga business. I was too busy. I was driving to classes, taking trainings, and teaching. I was too busy to step back and plan. And this is coming from a planner. I love to plan. Fast forward to now, I've learned that when I take some CEO time, where I create a plan for my yoga business, it makes a huge difference. I also want to just note and give a huge shout out of thanks to a few people who have influenced this work that I've done over the years. And this is a really mixed variety, so I love it that you're all in this list of people that I can think of that I've pulled information from and that I've created this system that I go through in my own business every year. So those people are Natalie Ekdahl, Pat Flynn, Steph Crowder, James Clear, Matt Kowald, Steve Hart, Haley Burkhead, Amber De La Garza, Gary Keller, and Tyler McCall. And also, huge shout of thanks to the many yoga teachers who have facilitated a training, a class, a retreat, or a workshop that I have attended, because this is where I really got to see that I had time to reflect and listen and connect to my own inner teacher. I also want to thank the teachers that I've worked with one-on-one in consultation calls, because some of you will recognize parts of this work. And you helped me to solidify this. You asked good questions, and I improved on this system, and this is a work in progress. Another note before we get right in, let me first say, your inner teacher is the best guide for you. Also, your inner teacher knows what you need and what your yoga business needs. A lot of what I'm going to offer today is a way to connect to that inner teacher. But feel free, like any yoga pose, like any yoga practice, to modify and customize this. And because this is a one-sided conversation today, and I can't hear your unique challenges or places where you get stuck, please reach out to me or skip that part and come back to it later, or take a break when you feel overwhelmed. You might choose to do some yoga or to take a walk or do something that brings you joy. Then come back to this. And if you are still stuck, you might want to book a one-on-one consultation call with me or another coach who can help you. This is what I do in my own business, and I have to say, it isn't always easy for me to reach out and ask for help. I've been really open with all of you. I've even played some of my coaching calls on the podcast. It's what always has helped me to get unstuck when I hit kind of a roadblock that I can't get through on my own. I want to share a personal story. This is a recent aha moment that I just had, and this illustrates how simple CEO planning can be and how effective it is when we add it to our routine. Every morning I have a tea and my breakfast, and often the kids and Sean are around in the kitchen and we end up at the table together or somewhere someone's doing something with breakfast while I'm at the table. And we have a rule in our house that there are no electronics at the table, that and hats. No hats, no electronics. So sometimes we do crosswords, we read, or we do Sudoku puzzles. Well, that's just Sage and I that like those. All of these things are allowed at the table. I've tried in the past to play podcasts at this time because I love them so much, but my family doesn't love them as much as I do. Or maybe they just get tired of the business podcasts and the different topics that I choose to play because these are some of my favorites. Also, I found myself going to put on a podcast to listen to at breakfast, and then 20 minutes later, I'm scrolling Facebook or Instagram and my cereal has gotten soggy. So this isn't a helpful habit to put into my morning routine. I've noticed that. And just a few weeks ago, my daughter Sage, who you hear at the opening of every podcast with the Schedulicity jingle, she called me out on this. She said something along the lines of, "Mom, it still counts if you're standing away from the table and checking your phone at breakfast time." Not so easy to hear as a mom, but she's so right. And I know that my actions speak way louder than my words as a parent. Okay, so you might be wondering, what does this have to do with planning? I decided to bring my day planner with me to the table. Paper and pens are allowed, remember, just no electronics at the table. So with my day planner, I was able to be at the table doing breakfast, chatting with my family, and also listing out what I wanted to do that week and reviewing what was on that day. Also, what worked out really well is that I could clarify my plans with my family members who were involved in doing things outside of work. Say if I had to check with one of the kids, hey, you have a dentist appointment and I'll pick you up here, blah, blah, blah. This kind of conversation would happen at this time. And I have to say, it has made such a difference. I love checking things off my list, and this offers me some CEO planning throughout my worker bee focused weeks. So I'm still working away like the worker bee, but it gives me just a sliver of planning time in my business and in my life, quite honestly. Today, though, we're going to go well beyond creating a to-do list and checking things off. I just wanted to tell you that story so you can start to look at your own schedule. Where can CEO planning fit in maybe daily, weekly, monthly, or annually? It is really going to be unique to you. So let's dive in and get started with some of the big stuff that we can tackle today in terms of CEO planning. So 2 options. You can have a listen to this entire episode now, especially if you're on the go. Just listen and come back to the writing part. Please don't write while you're driving or walking your dog or running a marathon. Not advised at all. Or if you're set to dig in and do some of the work right now, that CEO planning, make sure that you set yourself up where you're cozy and comfortable. Get a notebook and a pen. Yes, I'm old-fashioned. Some might say that. And so I like to write with paper and pen. I also think it helps me get into a different way of thinking. So if you're like, nope, I need my computer, I can type faster. Okay, but you could try. You could try for a couple of these to write and see if you get into something different. Also, when we write on paper, it's very hard to check the internet. That's what I have found. If we just have a notebook and a pen and we're far away from our phone and our computer, we can't think, oh, right, that just signaled my brain that I should go and check this thing or look up this thing. Okay, so let's dive in. Step 1, meditation. Again, if you're on the go, you're going to skip step 1. If you are ready to plan, we're going to start with 5 to 10 minutes of meditation first. So you can simply sit where you are comfortable, do the meditation that you're comfortable doing, connect with your breath, sit there in silence, sit at a chair. It doesn't matter where you sit. And just start by noting your breath. Then notice the thoughts that are coming in and allow those thoughts to flow in, because this is going to go right along with step 2. So we're not trying to fight against any thoughts that are coming in. You can set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes. I really love the Insight Timer app. Hey, I need to tell you about that before we get started. There's even a free course on meditation on that app, and I've handed this out to a few of my students who have said that they just don't know how to meditate. So that might be something that you look at. But I also just love how I can choose, I want to listen to just meditation music with maybe nature sounds, and I can time it, or I can just have a timer with a little bell and silence. Another option, if you're just feeling super overwhelmed by just life or sitting down and looking at things, you might want to try out a breathing meditation. And there's one that I've been using in my own daily yoga practice. Basically, you inhale for the count of 4 to start, exhale for the count of 4. And then you increase both the inhale and the exhale to 5 for the next breath. Your next inhale and exhale are 5, and you continue with this increasing. So you'll inhale 6, exhale 6, and keep increasing until you feel like you reach that maximum number for you. And then you begin to count down. So say you made it all the way up to inhaling 8, exhaling 8. Then you'll start to exhale or inhale 7, exhale 7, and go all the way back down until 4. And then you can count up again if you want and continue this for a few cycles or for 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're doing the planning work, this is where you're going to pause me for 5 to 10 minutes and find your own way to do meditation and allow thoughts to flow in. Step 2 is free flow writing. So in your notebook, start some free flow writing time. This is sort of like a brain dump, and we're going to focus on what you want to bring into your life. So there's no focus on when or how this is going to happen. This is really just time to dream big and let go of the roadblock thinking. Write fast and messy, anything that comes to mind. You might want to write down that you want to learn to knit, or you want to take a teacher training, or you want to lead a teacher training, or you want to travel the world for a year, or you want to have a child, or you want to have time to sit and have tea every morning. It doesn't matter what you're writing here, just that you choose what you really want, not what society is telling you that you should have or what society thinks you should want. There is nothing too small or too large for this list. So it might be some to-do items might land on this list, and that's okay. You might have personal items mixed in with business items. Perfect. Just let it all flow out. Anything. What are your big and scary dreams? What do you want to have that you wouldn't want to tell anyone about, or that you have told everyone about? What do you want to feel and have more of, and what do you want to do? So if you are feeling stuck with this, you can use some jumping off sentences. You could start with, I want to see, I want to do, I want to feel, I want to accomplish, I want to be the next, whoever that might be. So this step 2, this free flow writing, works like a form of meditation. Set a timer for at least 10 minutes. Play music if you want to, or have silence if that helps. Dance around if you want between thoughts, or go back to meditation. You decide. Take as long as you need. So you might even want to set your timer for 20 or 30 minutes, but for sure start with 10 minutes. And wait until you can read over the list and feel like everything you need to get out is on there. You can do this free flow writing anytime you're feeling like you don't know where to start, or when you're stressed or you're overwhelmed with a huge to-do list. It sometimes helps me to even sleep. If my mind is doing that worrying thing right before bedtime, this will be something that I turn to. So let's pause the podcast now and do at least 10 minutes of this free flow writing. Step 3 is become a scientist to analyze the data. This is one of my favorite parts. We can really be the scientist. And to this, I love to add in some of the teachings of yoga, the 8 limbs. And if you want to hear more about the 8 limbs, we have a 2-part podcast series we did a while back, and I'll make sure to put a link to that in our show notes. Alrighty, so if we look at using svadhyaya and ahimsa from the 8 limbs, how can you be like a scientist and analyze the data you just produced with the free flow pages? So remember, svadhyaya is that self-study time. What can we learn about self by looking at all of this list that we just created? And adding ahimsa to that, how can we be more in the seat of witness, less in the seat of judge and critic as we look at the list? How can we send acceptance and love to self for what is on the list? Also, let's just really acknowledge that this kind of work takes some bravery. We're digging in and we're uncovering things, and sometimes it's the tough work. Now, I feel like I could do an entire podcast episode about how the 8 limbs could apply to this CEO planning time, but I want to keep up with the practice here more than the theory behind it. So for now, read over your free flow thoughts that you did. Is there anything that you want to add to it? What brings up discomfort? What brings in joy or pride? Is there anything on there that allows the inner critic to really rise up and maybe get too loud? So take note and come back to ahimsa. How would you talk to a really close friend if they showed you this list? Can you tell your inner critic, hey, quiet down. This is my really close friend that I'm talking to. I don't want to hear all of this critic stuff. I just want you to be gentle with yourself as you reflect, especially as we get into this next part, this step 4. So just to clarify, step 3 is just looking at this like the scientist. Just asking yourself, what can I learn from just looking at this with that compassion for self? Step 4 is our Santosha page, and another page that I don't have a name for. You might even be able to help me with this. At the top of one page, you're going to write the word Santosha. This is a niyama from the 8 limbs, and it means contentment. And I want you to list out on this page what really worked in 2018. You can refer back to your free flow pages. Wow, say that 5 times fast. You can refer back to your free flow pages. That's not easy to say, friends. Okay, think of your calendar. What did you do in 2018 personally and in your business? Maybe you took a trip. What felt really great? What accomplishments did you achieve? Did you take a training or did you lead a yoga offering? Did you try something new? Did you learn something new? Did you stand up for yourself? Did you show love to someone? Did you give your time in some way? How were you a rock star in 2018? And I want you to give yourself some time for this. I do this at the close of every year now. And when I first started writing and doing this, I could hardly come up with anything. And that happens every single year. So I want you to just sit there with the page and give yourself some time. Ask friends and family if you feel really stuck. Hey, what did we do in 2018? Why was 2018 good? And once you get, let's say, at least 10 things on that list, I'd love to see you fill a whole page, maybe the other side of the page. Once you've got that done, then we're going to do another page. And this is the one that I don't have a title for, actually. And so if you have a title for this page, let me know. I think it's because I struggle more with this page. So on this one, we're going to list out what didn't feel like it was working in 2018. But before you start furiously writing, because I feel like this page can be easier to do than the other one, I want to put one big rule on this. You need to have a 2-to-1 ratio of the Santosha page to this unnamed, non-Santosha. I don't want that to be the title of the page, but that's all I can come up with right now. So 2-to-1 ratio, that means that if you have 10 things that worked well in 2018, you can only have 5 things on your other page on this things that didn't go so well. So yes, you can go back and you can add 2 things to your Santosha list, and then you can add 1 thing to this could have been improved in 2018. With this work, remember, we are doing this with ahimsa, that compassion and non-harming to self, and svadhyaya, that self-study. This is just data. We are looking for patterns and things that jump out at us. We are the scientists here, and we're saying, isn't that interesting? How harsh my inner critic is really picking on this one thing, or, wow, I noticed that pattern before, or, I wonder where that's coming from. So pausing right now and taking some time for step 4, take as much time as you need. Moving along to step 5, 4 areas of importance. A lot of you, if you've worked one-on-one with me, have done this. On a new page, draw a line down the middle horizontally and vertically so that you now are dividing your page into 4 quadrants. And in each quadrant, you're going to write a title. And the titles that we're going to use today are 1, health and wellness, 2, relationships and community, 3, work and purpose, 4, finances and abundance. Once you have all of those titles written down in the 4 quadrants, you might flip back and look over the free flow pages, your Santosha page, and the page that is unnamed still, what isn't feeling like Santosha or contentment. So keeping all of that data in mind, and then imagine, and I just want to tell you, I heard Pat Flynn talk about this, and I'll link to his podcast episode so you can hear his take on things. I've modified this story for yoga teachers. Pat Flynn talks about this as being an airport test. His story takes place at an airport. But for you, the yoga teacher, imagine that you are at a yoga event in 5 years from today. What year is it? Shout out the year. Go for it. Okay. So it's that year, and you bump into a really close and dear friend who you've not seen for 5 years. And you have some time to chat, and your friend asks you, hey, what's new in your life? And you say to your friend, my life is amazing because... And that's how every sentence begins to your friend as you write in the 4 quadrants now. So you're looking at 5 years ahead from today and telling this friend why your life is beyond amazing. Use the 4 quadrants for this. For example, in the health and wellness quadrant, you might say something like, my life is amazing because I feel the best I've ever felt in my life. I'm doing yoga, I'm walking daily, and I get at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night. So this is where you don't hold back on dreaming big. You don't have to know how you will make any of this happen, or do not get caught up in the details. You don't need to. Just fill that quadrant with everything you want to have in your life pertaining to that one quadrant in 5 years from today. So you might go back and look at the list of what wasn't working, that unnamed page, and you might even switch those around to be the positive. For example, if you said, I hate checking email every week on the page of not working, then you might write down that you have an assistant who does 80 or 100% of all of your email correspondence. Don't worry about the how. Just write down the big dreams, how could life be amazing in 5 years? So you'll pause now and fill this out as much as possible. Don't worry about it being messy. Don't worry about it being perfect. I just want you to write down as much as you possibly can in these 4 quadrants. If you feel really stuck on this, there is some one-on-one work that I often do with people, or we really analyze, and sometimes you can even ask someone else to help you with this. But do your best on this. And I don't want to share more philosophy or more ideas on this. I just want to move on to the next step for you, especially for those of you who are okay, got it, done. And then we'll move on to step number 6 next. Step 6, focus on one thing. I have to be honest with you here. When I look at my 4 areas of importance, my free flow pages, and the Santosha pages, I just want to implement so much change all at once. I've learned the hard way, though, that this isn't what helps me to stick to something. If you want to dive further into this topic, I would really suggest reading The One Thing by Gary Keller. And I also want to tell you that I struggle with this work and this book. So this is if you also struggle with that, you might want to take on the book. But in step 6 right now, we're just going to choose one thing. It might be something that pops off the page for you right away, or you might have to sit there and really just think, do I want this or do I want this? Would I rather have 8 hours of sleep at night, or would I rather have 14 people attend the next yoga teacher training that I lead? So you want to also make sure that whatever it is that you choose also aligns with your 4 areas of importance. If it doesn't, I would question, are you sure that's one of the things, or did you forget to add it to your 4 areas of importance in some way? You want to make sure that it lines up. It doesn't have to be exactly that. Maybe you said, I want to be on the next person on the cover of Yoga Journal. It doesn't mean that that has to be your goal, but maybe you want to start writing articles that get published, or maybe you want to learn how to do a photo shoot, so you can pick small steps, but you want to make sure that eventually it lines up with what's on your 4 areas of importance. So this is the one thing that you're choosing to focus on right now. And don't worry, you will be able to focus on more things, but for now, not at the same time. And I get it. I'm an all or nothing kind of person. I'm like, do it right or don't bother doing it at all. And I get what it feels like to want to fix everything and be living at that perfect 5-year plan right now. But this takes focus. And I want to just ask as a bonus question, which one of the 8 limbs does that connect to for you? You will know when you have step 6 complete, when you've chosen just one thing you want to work on. Not one thing from each quadrant, not 2 things because you have time or you're really good at this, just one thing for now. I promise you will see why. Step number 7, measurable goals, systems, and habits. And if you're all of a sudden shy of this right now because of the title, don't worry. It's not as bad as it sounds. So, okay, let's say you choose wanting to have 14 people sign up for your next yoga offering. Let's make this a measurable goal and then figure out the systems and the habits that can support it. So measurable meaning write your goal out so that anyone would know when you reach it. Saying, I want to have more registrants sign up for my yoga classes is not measurable. You'll never know when you get to your goal. Actually, it'll just always stay right ahead of you. You'll always just be aiming for more than what you have now. And we don't want to feel like that. Instead, say something like, I want to have 14 registrants by March the 1st, pay the full deposit for my Yoga for Runners workshop that is happening on May the 1st. Do you see how it has numbers, like how many people are signing up, when are they signing up, how much are they going to be paying, which workshop is it that we're talking about? And write this goal down where you can see it daily. Your brain will do a lot of thinking on the side on how to make this happen. That's why we write it out. Don't force it. Remember that your inner teacher, that one that knows you and your business better than anyone, is going to do the work on the side. Sometimes we do have to call in other help, but for right now, we're going to just see if self can make this happen. The second part of step 7 is systems and habits. This is where we bring in the tapas, the willpower and the determination to make this possible. What are you going to do to make this goal happen? What system or habit can you put in place? For example, every morning you might check your emails and answer any questions that come in about that workshop. Or you might decide you want to create a Facebook event for it and post in that Facebook event every single day. Or you might send out an email to your students and let them know about the workshop. If a lot of ideas start to come in, remember, this is great time for free flow pages time. Brainstorm all of the ideas onto paper and then choose just one thing to start with. And once you have that system or habit in place, you can add it to another one. So for example, when you go to open your email and you're like, I'm working on that goal, I'm going to check that email, but then you get caught up in answering 10 other emails, you don't have that habit yet. You need to go into your email and think the goal is to get people signed up for this one thing, How can I get into my email, make that happen, and then get out? I know, I'm laughing because this isn't always easy for me. If you get stuck on this, make sure to sign up for our 5-day content challenge. It's on our homepage at theconnectedyogateacher.com. It's free and it takes just 5 days to finish. And that 5-day challenge has made such a difference for people who are like, I know I should be making content, but I don't know what kind of content to be making. So I would just plug that in here. You might even want to add it in as part of the system. Okay, I'm going to do all of this, the CEO planning, right until this point, and now I'm going to look at content if it has anything to do with your yoga business. Now, if you have set a goal to get more sleep, you don't have to worry about content. You're going to set up different things to get more sleep. So this step right now is the difference between just going to Facebook and posting random things on your page because you think you should. You heard that that's good marketing. Instead, you're posting with a set goal in mind to either grow your business or generate profit. You have this set goal in mind and you know when you hit it. So you don't even have to keep posting on Facebook once you hit that goal. You might set another goal and then it might mean that you're back on Facebook, but not necessarily. And next week, we're going to hear from Matt Kowald, who designed the Yogi's Journal. Matt's going to talk to us more about how we can create these habits. There is some amazing information to add to this step. And it was actually in talking with Matt that I switched from a struggle with my daily yoga practice to actually making it happen every single day. So I have Matt to thank for that, and you'll get to hear why in that episode. I'm at a month now of daily yoga practice, and it feels amazing most days. It still can be a struggle. And at this point, I feel like I can go back and look at my 4 areas of importance again and the other pages I created and see what I want to focus on next. And for every person and for every goal, this is going to vary. You might be able to add something in after 10 days, or it might take you months to get there. But these 7 steps for CEO planning are really the foundation. Before you step forward, you really want to map out where you want to go. You want to know what it's going to feel like when you get there, or you want to be looking at what's working now. Maybe you want to do more of that, and what's not working. You also want to have a big picture dream plan. That's your 4 areas of importance. I'm excited, Connected Yoga Teachers, because this is a lot of the systems that I have used and that are working. There are some new ones I'm trying out this year. I'm testing them out. They're in the trial phase, and I definitely will keep you posted, especially if you're interested. Reach out to me and let me know, hey, Shannon, I'd love to do a little trial and work on the next things that you're doing. If you get to this point and then you feel like, okay, what else is there? I've got some more. Also, let me know what you discover with this work. I want to hear what came up with you in your CEO time. I want to know, what questions do you have now? And how have you taken this and customized it or modified it to really suit you? I would love to hear from you on that. Some people do this work maybe on a Sunday afternoon. Other people take a weekend or even a week of like a CEO retreat time where you go to the spa and do things you love to do. I'd also love to hear from you. So if you're doing some CEO planning time, make sure to tag me on social media. Take a little time and let me know how it's going, or send me an email. And if you want to meet up either virtually or in person, our group program for yoga teachers is happening again. If you want to find out more or you want to register for that, visit theconnectedyogateacher.com, and under Work with Shannon, look for the group program. Also in person, I will be at the Toronto Yoga Show, March 29th to the 31st, 2019. In April, I'll be teaching the 85-hour Mama Nurture prenatal yoga teacher training both in Bermuda and also in Meaford. You can go to theconnectedyogateacher.com and look under trainings for that information. And also in November of 2019, November 2nd and 3rd, I'll be in Meaford, Ontario, teaching a 20-hour Yoga for Pelvic Health yoga teacher training. That one is already starting to fill up because I am only teaching it once in 2019 in person. And so if you are thinking about that, reach out to me and I will pencil you in. Thank you to our amazing team at the Connected Yoga Teacher, Samantha, Suzanne, Crunch, and Schedulicity for making today's episode possible. And thank you, dear listener. It means so much to me that you have taken the time to listen today, and I hope that you will continue to take the time to do some CEO planning for your own yoga business. What would it feel like to do this every 3 months? Could you add 4 CEO dates with yourself to go through this framework again to see where you're at? Could you add in 4 of those dates in the next year? If you get stuck, reach out and book a one-on-one consultation call with me so that I can offer you some customization, the accountability, and an outside perspective. Okay, Connected Yoga Teachers, time to sign off. What will you be doing this week to stay connected to yourself, to your yoga practice, and to your community so that you can share the yoga that lights you up?